All right, so
Yeah.
check the watches, check the calendars. It is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026.
Hmm.
And if the dossier we're breaking down in today's study is accurate, and we're talking about a very specific high stakes kind of accurate,
Yeah.
we're currently sitting inside a flashing red light 5-day window.
It's a high-pressure week. We're looking at a convergence that's honestly pretty startling, regardless of where you fall on the theological spectrum.
We're diving into a source known as Ministry Revealed, or, just MR.
Right.
And usually when we look at prediction models, it's one thing. It's stock prices or election results.
Sure.
This is a massive, intricate puzzle. I mean, we were talking about a web that ties together the Hebrew calendar, Iranian troop movements,
Yeah.
the position of the constellations, even the apocryphal Book of Jasher. It's a lot.
It's a whole lot.
It is. It's a synthesis of data points that you just rarely see put together like this. And the claim, the bottom line up front, is that we are on the precipice of a major biblical event.
Specifically, the pre-tribulation rapture. Exactly. And Ministry Revealed is pinning it to a window between, well, right now and February 2nd.
Okay, so before we get into the weeds, we have to drop the standard disclaimer for this kind of study.
Yeah, it's important.
We're here to unpack the logic. We're looking at the architecture of the argument found in the MR worldview.
We aren't endorsing the theology.
Not at all. And we certainly aren't telling you to go sell your house. We're neutral observers of a, frankly, fascinating phenomenon.
Exactly. Our job is to reverse engineer their conclusion.
Mhm.
How do you get from, normal Wednesday to world-changing event in just 5 days?
Right.
Because when you read the documents from Ministry Revealed, it isn't presented as a hunch. It's a mathematical construction they've been building for years.
So let's set the scene. Why the urgency right now? The speaker in today's study actually admits they were previously focused on a different date, the 9th of Av.
Right.
That came and went. Now, usually that's when people say, oops, back to the drawing board, or they just, delete their old videos.
Sure. But Mara doubles down. They argue that the 9th of Av wasn't a miss. It was a marker in a count.
A necessary count.
A necessary count that has led them directly to what they call the wedding week. The specific dates in the dossier are January 29th through February 2nd, 2026.
But the backdrop here isn't just people looking at calendars in a basement. It's very terrestrial.
Political.
Ministry Revealed is heavily focused on the current tension between the U.S., Israel, and Iran.
That is the friction point that really drives the urgency. MR posits that the conflict involving Iran, which, you see it in the headlines right now, is not going to de-escalate.
They're very specific about this.
Very specific. They claim the conflict will not end until the Iranian leadership, specifically the Ayatollah, is removed from power.
And they have a specific sequence for this, right? This isn't just generic wars and rumors of wars. They're referencing something they call the light affliction. Can you explain that concept? Because it sounds, paradoxically polite for a war.
It does, doesn't it? It's based on a reading of Isaiah chapter 9. The theory is that there are two afflictions mentioned in the prophecy, a light one and a heavy one.
Okay.
Ministry Revealed predicts a devastating attack by Iran, targeting Haifa and Tel Aviv specifically. That is the light affliction.
And this is the crucial timeline marker.
Here it is. They believe this attack happens immediately following the pre-tribulation event.
So to put it in a movie script format, the bride, the faithful vanishes, then almost instantly the missiles fly.
Precisely. The source emphasizes that the pre-trib group will not see this attack.
They're gone.
They are removed beforehand. However, the remnant, those left behind who are still faithful but have a different role to play, they will witness it.
So for MR, the attack on Haifa is a grim validator. If you see it on the news, the departure has already happened.
That's the logic.
Wow. That adds a layer of tangible, real-world anxiety to the whole thing. It anchors it in the news cycle.
It really does.
But I want to get into the mechanics of why this week. Why late January 2026? Because the leap from war with Iran to the rapture is this weekend. That requires a massive bridge.
It does. And that bridge is what the speaker calls the cherry on top revelation.
The mirror calendar.
The mirror calendar.
This was the part of the notes where I had to stop and reread it 3 times. It feels like we're, doing origami with a time.
It's a good way to put it. Okay, let's simplify it. Imagine a standard clock face. You have 12 at the top, 6 at the bottom.
Okay, I'm with you.
If you fold that clock in half horizontally,
Yeah.
the numbers touch their opposites, right?
Yeah.
1 touches 11, 5 touches 7.
It's a symmetry thing, yeah.
Right. So Ministry Revealed applies this folding logic to the Hebrew calendar. In this model, the 5th month, mirrors the 11th month Shivat.
And why is that mirroring significant? Is it just numerology, or is there a cultural anchor there?
Oh, it's deeply cultural. It's all about what happens in Av. The 15th of Av is traditionally known as Tu B'Av.
The Jewish Valentine's Day.
Basically, yeah. Historically, it was a premier day for weddings. The girls of Jerusalem would go out in white dresses and dance in the vineyards. It's a huge wedding marker.
So if it's a wedding marker.
Exactly. The logic follows. If you miss the wedding date in the summer on the 15th of Av,
Yeah.
you look to its mirror on the folded calendar.
And the mirror of the 15th of Av is,
The 15th of Shavat.
which is also a holiday, right?
It is. It's Tu B'Shavat, the New Year for trees.
Hmm.
ML argues that through this mirror, Tu B'Shavat becomes the actual wedding date in this prophetic timeline.
It's like finding a secret door. You think you missed the event.
But the mirror shows you it's actually waiting for you in the winter.
That explains the date. But they also do some interesting gymnastics with the Feast of Weeks.
They do.
Traditionally, Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, is a single day, but Ministry Revealed links this to the story of Jacob and Leah in Genesis.
Right, this is where they get into the wedding week concept.
Yeah.
In Genesis 29, Laban tricks Jacob into marrying Leah instead of Rachel.
Mm.
And when Jacob complains, Laban tells him, fulfill her week.
Right, the week that historically referred to the 7-year work period he had to do.
Well, MR argues it refers specifically to the wedding celebration week itself. They claim that while the text refers to a week, the biblical Feast of Weeks culminates in a single-day event.
So they are looking for a wedding week period that ends with a sudden single-day departure.
And they believe we are in that specific week right now, leading up to Tu B'Shavat.
It's a reinterpretation of the timeline based on these narrative patterns. Jacob, Leah, the week, the day. Okay. But let's layer in the next piece of evidence because they don't stop at the calendar. They look up. Let's talk about the snow moon.
This is where the astronomical data overlays the scriptural stuff. The upcoming full moon on February 1st, 2026, is popularly known as the snow moon.
Usually I'd just say, okay, pretty name, Farmer's Almanac stuff, but MR connects this to the Book of Jasher.
Right.
Now, for the listener who hasn't dusted off their Apocryphal lately, what is Jasher and why is it in today's study?
So the book of Jasher isn't in the standard Bible canon, but it's actually referenced in the Bible, in Joshua and 2 Samuel.
Oh, interesting.
It's an ancient history text,
Yeah.
and the source uses it to flesh out the story of Enoch.
Enoch is the guy in Genesis who walked with God and he was not, for God took him.
Right. The ultimate prototype for the rapture. He doesn't die, he just leaves. The Bible is super brief on it, but Jasher gives details.
What kind of detail?
It says Enoch teaches the people for 6 days. On the 7th day, he ascends. He vanishes into heaven in a whirlwind.
Okay. So where does the snow come in?
That's the specific detail MR latches onto. On the 8th day, the people go looking for him. They want to know where he went. And Jasher says they found large stones of snow or mounds of snow on the ground where he was taken.
Large stones of snow. And we have a snow moon on February 1st.
You see the synthesis. They argue that the snow moon acts as a celestial label.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with the New Year of trees, specifically the almond tree, which is the first to bloom in Israel,
And almond blossoms are white.
white like snow. So you have the white moon, the white blossoms, and the text from Jasher about the snow marks the departure of Enoch.
So MRR sees this as a convergence pointing to this specific weekend for the taking of the faithful.
That's the argument.
It's creative. I'll give them that. It links the agriculture, the astronomy, and the text. Speaking of agriculture, I want to clarify the 4 months early point.
Okay.
They quote Jesus in John 4.35. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest.
This is the Blinkist takeaway for the math geeks. Ministry Revealed interprets this verse not as a casual observation, but as a specific instruction.
An instruction.
Yeah. Jesus is saying, don't wait for the physical harvest. Look 4 months prior.
So if you do the math.
If the actual wheat harvest is in Sivan, that's the 3rd month, and you count back 4 months, where do you land?
Do you land in Shavat, the 11th month?
Where we are right now.
So the argument is that Jesus was giving a clue to look for the spiritual harvest, the rapture, 4 months before the agricultural harvest actually happens.
Correct. And remember the second part of that verse, look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest.
Right.
MR argues he couldn't have been talking about wheat in that moment because wheat isn't white 4 months early. It's green or just non-existent.
So what was white?
The almond trees.
Yeah.
In Shavat, the almond trees are in bloom. They're white.
Wow.
So MR thinks Jesus was effectively saying, when you see the almond trees blooming in Shavat, The spiritual harvest is ready.
That is a very specific horticultural reading of the gospel. It basically claims that the timing was hidden in plain sight, encoded in botany.
It is, but it fits their mirror theory perfectly. Everything flips. The end is the beginning, winter's the harvest.
Okay, we've done the moon, the calendar, the trees. Let's talk about the stars. They bring in the zodiac, which always raises eyebrows in these circles,
Always.
but they frame it biblically as the Mazzaroth.
They do. They view the constellations as the biblical story written in the stars. And this brings us to the firstborn concept.
Okay.
This is vital to understanding who they think is going.
And this is the connection to Reuben, the eldest son of Jacob.
Yes. In today's study, the source links Reuben to the constellation Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher. The logic is that Reuben was described as unstable as water in his father's blessing.
And where is the sun right now, late January 2026?
The sun is sitting squarely in Aquarius.
So you have the firstborn Reuben, represented by the stars, aligning with the firstborn harvest event they are predicting.
And they bolster this with the Book of Jubilees. This is another extra biblical text, but it helps explain the old grain theory.
This was the Leah versus Rachel thing. This part confused me a little bit. Break down the grain metaphor for us.
Right. So there is a story of Jacob celebrating a harvest festival with old grain.
Gold grain.
Ministry Revealed interprets old grain as winter wheat, wheat that is planted earlier and harvested earlier. They metaphorically link this to Leah.
Because Leah was the older sister.
Exactly. Leah's the old grain, Rachel's the younger sister, or the spring wheat. Imar argues that the firstborn group, the Leah type, must be harvested in the winter. That's the rapture event they expect now. The Rachel group, the younger spring wheat, represents the tribulation saints who were harvested later during the difficult years.
So winter harvest, winter wheat, winter moon, winter constellation, everything points to, well, now.
That is the core of their argument. It is a convergence of winter markers pointing to a harvest that shouldn't typically happen in winter.
Unless you know how to read the mirror.
Unless you know how to read the mirror. They are arguing that the church has been looking for a summer wedding, but the blueprint was always for a winter wedding.
Okay, let's map out the sequence then. If this Ministry Revealed timeline holds up, what does the next week and the years following actually look like? Give us the play-by-play.
Okay, step 1. The pre-trip rapture. The faithful vanish. They link this to the Enoch-Leah typology. They expect this during the current wedding week, possibly peaking around the snow moon on February 1st.
Then immediately after?
Step 2. The attack. The restrainer is gone, so Iran strikes Haifa and Tel Aviv. This is the light affliction we talked about.
Which then triggers step 3.
A Middle East war.
Yeah.
But they describe it as a short war.
A short war. And then?
Then step 4 involves the Son of Man appearing for 40 days. They connect this to the sign of Jonah and Noah, a period of warning to the world.
And finally?
Step 5. Syria destroys Jerusalem, which kicks off a massive 14-year count.
14 years. You usually hear 7 years of tribulation in these circles.
Yeah, MR has a unique architecture there. They view the end times as 2 sets of 7 years, mirroring the 2 weeks Jacob worked for his wife.
7 for Leah, 7 for Rachel.
Totaling 14.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other study. The immediate focus is this transition from normalcy to destruction via this sudden departure.
Now, the speaker and the source material does leave themselves a little wiggle room, right? A plan B.
Yeah.
Because if I wake up on February 3rd and I'm still here, what then?
They do. They're doing math, not just prophesying. They mention a calculation involving Zechariah chapter 7. There's a discrepancy of about 3 days between different fasts mentioned in the text.
A 3-day buffer.
Right. So if nothing happens on February 1st, the speaker suggests the event might be pushed 24 to 48 hours later. Possibly aligning with the equivalence of Nisan 3 or 4 on the mirror calendar. They are accounting for a slight variation in how the lunar cycle is observed or how the calendar was originally folded.
It's fascinating how resilient the system is. If date A misses, there is an internal logic that just slides it to date B without breaking the whole theory.
That is common in this type of eschatological study. It's less about guessing and more about recalculating based on new scriptural insights.
Oh, yeah.
They aren't just throwing darts. They are constantly adjusting the formula based on the data. They view it as refining the focus, not moving the goalpost.
So let's take a breath and look at the big picture here. We have a source claiming that because of folded calendars, almond blossoms, and a full moon, the world is about to change forever in the next, roughly 120 hours.
It illustrates the sheer density of what we call deep dive biblical study. These aren't casual readers.
Not at all.
They are synthesizing current events, like the Iranian troop movements, with ancient, sometimes non-canonical texts to create a very urgent, real-time narrative.
It really highlights how people seek order in chaos. I mean, you look at the news, you see Iran and Israel, and it's scary. It feels random.
Yeah.
But if you can map it onto a calendar that was written thousands of years ago, suddenly it's not just chaos, it's a plan.
Precisely. It turns anxiety into anticipation. Instead of fearing the conflict becomes a confirmation. It validates the timeline. It changes the psychology of the observer entirely.
So what stands out to you most in this specific study? What's the one thing that just sticks with you?
For me, it's the concept of the mirror. The idea that the end is a reflection of the beginning. They talk about the beginning being Taurus, the bull. But through the mirror, everything flips. It forces you to look at time not as a straight line, but as something that folds back on itself.
It's almost sci-fi in a way, like time travel logic applied to theology.
It is. The source argues that if the Feast of Weeks, usually in month 3, is observed in month 11, it completely upends our traditional perception of linear time. It suggests that prophecy isn't a linear checklist. It's a pattern that echoes.
It definitely gives you something to think about when you look up at the moon this weekend.
It does. Whether you believe the prediction or not, the logic is a fascinating architectural feat. It forces you to ask, are we reading the calendar right side up, or have we been looking at the reflection all along?
Well, we will certainly be watching the news in the sky over the next few days. It is January 28th, 2026. According to Ministry Revealed, the clock is ticking loud.
Indeed it is.
That wraps up today's study into the Ministry Revealed End Times timeline, a complex web of mirrors, snow, and stars.
A lot to process.
I want to leave you with one final thought, something to mull over. The source argues that the beginning is Taurus, but the mirror flips the script. What does it actually mean to live your life expecting the calendar to fold in half at any moment? Does it change how you treat your neighbor? Does it change how you view your own light afflictions?
That is the question.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you on the other side of the weekend.
Seven years, like a river flowing. I work my hands raw for a love all aglow. But the night of the wedding, a cruel twist of fate. In my arms was Leah, though my heart was with Rachel. You know, Leah, oh Leah, the heart that waited in shadows of love so often jaded. With every child born, a tale of sorrow and grace. In a world where love's a complicated place. Leah, sweet Leah, with eyes like the dawn. In a love that was lost, you still linger on. Whispers in the night, sweet mandrakes in the air. You call me to your side, though my heart wasn't there. Yet the laughter of our sons filled the silence so deep. You taught me love's not just a promise we keep. Rachel's beauty shone like the stars above, but your heart held treasures, a deeper kind of love. While Jacob's heart wandered, you wore the pain proud. In the echoes of our home, you stood strong and loud. Leah, oh Leah, the heart that waited in shadows of love so often jaded. With every child born, a tale of sorrow and grace. In a world where love's a complicated place. Leah, sweet Leah, with eyes like the dawn. In a love that was lost, you still linger on. So here we stand on the edge of our past. With the weight of the world, we still hold steadfast. together as one, through the trials we've known. Leah, my heart, you've carved a love of your own. Leah, oh Leah, the heart that waited in shadows of love so often jaded. With every child born, a tale of sorrow and grace. In a world where love's a complicated chase. Leah, oh Leah, the heart that waited in shadows of love so often jaded. With every child born, a tale of sorrow and grace. In a world where love's a complicated place. Leah, sweet Leah, with eyes like the dawn. In a love that was lost, you still leave.